Alrighty, class, here we are. Today we're working on this third question of the 5 questions that I've assigned. Just to kind of recap a little bit, we worked on AP Calendar, so I've posted the videos and answered your questions on that. We did combinatorics. Once again, I posted the video and answered your questions, and now we're looking at this third question, StringManip, string manipulation. Okay, it's short for string manipulation. And so we're going to work on this. I have looked through your questions. There's some really good questions out there, again, from your Google documents. I'm going to try to address some of those questions here in the video. And again, it's for me at least, it's better to excuse me, I thought I wasn't recording there for a minute, but we're good. For me, it's better to make these videos with at least some goal, and the goal being to address the questions you have as you read the problem. I find that sometimes what happens is that I'll post the video and you look through the video, and at times some students don't even read the problem statement first. And so what I want is for you to read the problem statement, try to make sense of what you're being asked, and then after you know what you're trying to do, or if you don't know what you're trying to do, you don't know what you're supposed to do, then you post these questions, and in my video now I can answer those questions, and it's kind of more of a, and I guess a little bit more of an interactive approach rather than me just posting the answers and you watching the answers and maybe still have questions even after you see my video. And so I appreciate the questions that you've posted. I've answered the majority of them. Some of them I did ask to I asked you to reference the video, and because I think the question can best be answered here in the video rather than through a written response. And so we have this method, string manipulation. The majority of you, especially the ones that post the questions, have read through this, and so you have an idea of what you're supposed to do. And so I'm gonna work on doing this whole class. I have actually coded this class already. For the combinatorics video, I had not coded it, so I was coding for the first time as I was recording, and I think there's benefits to that. If I'm coding for the first time, if I'm coding the class for the first time as I'm recording, then I run into maybe issues or things that are not working, and so you can see in real time maybe things that issues that I run into that I would maybe otherwise not show you if I work this out prior to recording. But that also means that there's the video is lengthier, which is not necessarily an issue, but I'm trying to minimize the length on these videos. And so this I have coded, and so I'm going to be copying and pasting the code and explaining it as I copy and paste, and trying to clarify, as well as keeping your questions in mind. So I'm going to copy this, Control-C copies. Again, we're using JGrasp. Actually, I've pasted it here, so this is exactly what is from what you have on the problem statement. I like to just kind of change a few things here. And so I'm going to I like the curly braces to line up. That's just me. Some programmers don't necessarily care. I do. And so I'm just going to have the curly braces line up here so that it's easier, in my opinion, to identify the methods. And we have 3 methods total. And we are responsible for coding 2 of them. And the third, we are not responsible for coding. We do have to use it though. And so we're going to actually code it. And so let me show you what the 3 methods are. The first method is called remove spaces. The implementation is not shown. You're not responsible for coding this method. You just need to know how it works. And what happens is that remove spaces, it expects a string, and so it's going to receive a string, and it's going to return a string, and it's basically going to return the same string but without any spaces. And you're given some explanation right here remove spaces. If you send it the string "Hi, how are you?" it returns that same string but without the spaces. It eliminated those. Excuse me. Now, you don't have to code this method. You would not have to code it in your response to the FRQ. You wouldn't have to code it. But because we're trying to test the method right here as we code it, then I'm going to code it here. What you are responsible for is the reverse string method that accepts a string and it reverses the order of the characters. It returns a string that is in reverse order. Let me show you here what that would look like. If string, the parameter string, or what you are sent to this method is maybe something like, I don't know, hello, then you should return the string hello in reverse order, so OLLEH, like that. That's what it would return. It would reverse the order. I'm going to actually get rid of that. I'm going to leave the return statement because I am going to compile and I need to return something. So I'll leave it there for now. I'll erase it later. And then the last method is the palindrome checker to be implemented in part B. Palindrome checker basically checks to see if the string str is a palindrome. Okay, I'm back. I got a little sidetracked there. Anyways, the palindrome checkers checks to see if the string str is a palindrome. You can look up what a palindrome is. If you're not sure what it is, there's a description in the problem statement. I know you won't be able to look up these things in real time as you're taking the actual test, but it says a palindrome is a word or a phrase or a sequence that reads the same backwards as forwards, and they give you an example here. Madame is a palindrome. If you read it backwards, it reads the same. Nurses run is another palindrome. If you read it backwards, it still says nurses run. Now notice that if you keep the white space between nurses and run, so the space, then when you flip it, it won't necessarily look exactly as nurses run. It would be nur and then says run, something to that extent. And so that's the reason for the remove spaces method. All those are things we need to code. So the palindrome checker and the reverse string method, those two methods we're responsible for coding. As far as the free response question is concerned, remove spaces, you're not responsible for coding this one, but we will code it because we want to use the method in our implementation, which is part of the requirement. If I'm not mistaken, in part B, it says, part B, you must use reverse string and remove spaces appropriately to receive full credit. That means that you don't want to give yourself more work. Use the methods appropriately in the palindrome checker method, and use them. So don't give yourself more work. There was a question by a student asking about whether if we don't, suppose that you wrote reverse string, you wrote the method, the second method. Reverse string, you wrote it in your response, but maybe it's not right, or you don't know if it's right. Let's just say it turns out that it's not correct. You wouldn't get docked off points in the palindrome checker if you used the method, the reverse string method, as if it was correct. So you wouldn't get points taken away. Even if you didn't code part A right, you can still get full credit for part B. Okay, let's actually go here. Again, I've actually coded this already. I have it here. So I'm gonna give it a different name here, string manipulation demo. So I can actually compile. Control B compiles. I need to save this. I'm gonna go to the FRQ folder for computer science A, and I'm just gonna call this one demo. Okay, there's a return statement missing here. Now, this is remove spaces. So let me copy this code. Again, I'm trying to save us some time here. And then let me explain the code. I am gonna maybe ask some feedback as to whether you prefer that I copy and paste the code or maybe code this in real time. My opinion is that whatever works best for you, that's the way to go. Okay, so I want to remove the spaces from a string, and they give us the string, and the example, let me write it as a comment here, is hello, how are you? And so if somebody was to send this string, hello, how are you, to remove spaces should return, and I'll put it here as a comment, it should return the string hello, how are you, without spaces. So it basically gets rid of the spaces. Now, a student once again asked, well, I don't know how to get started. I don't know if I should make a variable. I'm just having a hard time getting started. And the answer is that I guess the more and more you practice, the better you get. If you're not sure if you should make a variable or not, just make it. And then later on, if you never use the variable, then you realize that maybe you shouldn't have made it. Now, my recommendation is that because we're returning a string, just make a variable that is a string. And so no spaces is a string. And initially it's empty, there's nothing in there. This is in no spaces, that's where I am going to put all these substrings, the letters H, E, L, L, O, and then I'm going to skip the white space, and then H, O, W, skip the white space, and then A, R, E, and then skip the white space. Okay, let me talk about this, because another question was, how do I traverse a string? Well, you traverse a string the same way you traverse a one-dimensional array. You can initialize I to be at 0. You're going to go until I is less than the length of the string. For an array, when you get the length of an array, you don't need the parentheses. However, for a string, you do need them, because this is a method. Length is a method that requires no arguments within every string. Every string has a length method. And this gives you the length of the string. The length is the number of characters in the string, including white spaces. And so if you were to count this, and I'll count it really quick, that's 5, 6, 9, 10, 13, 14, 17. And so the length of the string would be 17. And so I would be start at 0, and it would go until it's less than 17. So the last value of I would be 16. Now I have an if statement here. Let me kind of talk you through it. First I'm saying, okay, my string, I'm going to get the substring I plus 1. So if I have I is 0, that would be 0, 0, comma 1, which would be the H. It's the first letter. So from 0 to 1, that's H. And I'm going to say that if that substring is equal to a space, then I'm thinking, okay, well, if it equals a space, I know I don't want to add it to no spaces. I want to add everything that is not a space. And this is how you denote a space. You put the parentheses with quite literally a space in between. So what I'm going to put here is I know that if the substring does not equal a space, I want to add it to no spaces. And so the way I do that is I can say, well, if the substring equals a space, okay, but I want not equal to. So the way we do that is we put an exclamation mark right here in front. If not, the exclamation mark stands for not. If not, this quantity is not true. So if the substring does not equal a space, I want no spaces to be what it used to be. Remember, this is shorthand for writing the following. It's my phone. Plus. I want no spaces to be what it used to be, and it starts with nothing, plus the substring at that location, at I plus 1. And so the only time this is not going to be true is when you hit a space. So right here, this would evaluate to false. Is the substring equal to a space? The answer is yes, but then we negate it. We put under the not, and so what used to be a true statement, it does equal space, it becomes a false statement, and so we don't add that substring to spaces. Again, you're not responsible for this method, but we're going to use it, so I need to code it. There was a question from a student, and the question, I think the student posed this question maybe last week, so it's been a while. They really got on it, and they just wrote the questions. So it's possible that you know the answer to this question because we've been doing this for the previous 2 examples. How do you test this? Well, because again, these 3 methods are all static methods, they can be referenced from the main method, which is also a static method. And so there's no need to make a separate tester class. We can actually code the main method within public static void main string args. And I want to print the string that removes spaces returns. So I'm going to say system.out.print on a new line. And I'm going to say, let's test this. Let's put remove spaces. Let's print what remove spaces returns when I send it, hello, how are you? And that is all that has spaces, right? All lowercase. Okay. I compile and run. And it's working as intended. Notice how it's hello, how are you without any blank spaces. So I removed them. Okay. Now again, trying to minimize the length of these videos. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this one, or at least not as much time as I'm going to spend on the other 2. But if you have any questions, please reach out to me and let me know. Okay, let's look at the next method, reverse string. The reverse string, there was this, again, another question from a student asking about how do you reverse a string that the student remembers that we did it in class, but they forgot. Let me show you how you can change the order of a string. I'm going to write it here. I guess I'm going to provide an example before I actually put the actual code. Let's say, suppose I do system.out.print, and I print the string, I don't know, let's do here imperial plus the string hi. Well, this right here will print imperial hi together. There's no spaces in between. And if I wanted to reverse the order, I would just simply reverse the order of the strings in my print statement. I would say hi and then plus imperial. Now, I guess I'm trying to get here. I'm trying to get somewhere with this, so just bear with me. And so you have reversed the order. Now, what that means, I'm not going to run this, but what that means is, like, let's say I had a string str is equal to what it used to equal plus something like, I don't know, Bobby, like that, right? And let's say that the string was initialized to, I'm just thinking here, string was initialized to hi Bobby, you know? Okay, well, if you did it this way, then the hi would be placed in front of Bobby. You would be adding it to the front. Whereas if you did it like this instead, string is what it is Bobby plus what it used to equal. Right here, you just put Bobby and then hi. And so you would be adding str to the end of the string. And so basically the difference between adding a string, a substring to the front or to the end is this 2 implementations. And so I'll make a note of that right now that I copied the code, but this is it. This is where it's all at. Let me show you. I'm going to cut this or delete it. I'm actually going to delete this whole thing because I'm just going to copy and paste. We have remove spaces and then we have reverse string. Notice how simple this implementation is. Very simple. I'm going to paste it right here. Again, we're returning a string, so I would suggest you make a string In this case, I called the string reverse because it's going to have the reverse order of str. Initially, it has nothing. And I traverse the string, my string that is sent to me. So suppose somebody sends to me the string, let's say str is, we'll make something up here, something like Joe Mama, right? You guys remember that? Joe Mama, okay? No spaces, let's just say like that. So let's say str is this string. Okay, well, reverse at the very end should be the string Joe Mama, but backwards. So it would be reverse is going to be AMAMEOJ, like that. It's backwards, right? Joe Mama, yes it is. And so that's the objective. Now, this is what I am going to do. I'm going to traverse my string, and if you, again, this is how you traverse a string. I quite literally copied this from this for loop. It's the same thing. I'm going to start at I equals 0. I'm going to go until I is less than the length of the string. So in this case, the string is 7 elements. There's 7 letters in here, so it has 7 elements. So I will be 6. That's the last value. Reverse is what it used to be. And I'm putting my substring, in this case, the first substring would be 0, 1. So when I is 0, that would be 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. 0, 1 is J, the letter J. I would put the letter J plus nothing, because it reverses nothing right here. And then I would be 1, and so 1 and 2, that would be the letter O. And I would put the letter O, and then I would add a reverse, which is J now. And so on and so forth. Let me see if I can show you. Give me a minute. Okay, so I put this together here so that I can try to explain the difference between how you can reverse a string. So we have here 2 implementations, the one on the left and then the one on the right. This line divides the 2, okay? Now, reverse, say it has nothing to begin with. And I say, let's say that reverse, and I'm not going to abbreviate, I don't want to be writing the word reverse all over again, is the substring from 0 to 1, that would be the letter J, plus whatever is in reverse. Well, there's nothing in there to begin with. And so it would just, the reverse would be just the letter J. That's after the first iteration. And then we go down here, and reverse is the substring from 1 to 2, which is the letter O. And so that would be the letter O plus reverse right here. That's J now. And so we'd put J. And so that's the string OJ. Okay. And then reverse is the next letter, which is the letter E. And so that would be E plus what is in reverse, which is OJ. And so that's EOJ. And then finally, I'm not going all the way to the end. I'm just going to say here the last reverse is the letter, the substring from 3 to 4, which is the letter M. And so that would be M plus reverse, which now has E, O, and J. And so that is M, E, O, J, which is actually what we're after, okay? So notice that putting the substring here in front and before the reverse is ideal. Let me show you how it would work if we did it the other way, where we first put reverse and then the substring. So right here, reverse would be what it used to be, with it's nothing to begin with, plus the letter J. And so that would be just J. And then right here, the next value would be reverse is what it used to be. So now it's the letter J, I just from the previous loop, plus the substring at 1 and 2, that's the letter O. And so now it's Joe. And then reverse is what it used to be, what's Joe, plus the substring at 2, 3, which is the letter E. And so that would be Joe. And you notice how this is not reversing the order. And then finally, we'll do the last one here. It would be reverse whatever it is, Joe, plus the letter at location 3, that's M. And so it would be Joe M. And then eventually it would be Joe Mama. Whereas this implementation right here, this implementation is actually reversing the order. And so that's the approach we're going to take. Okay, so then the key difference here would be between putting the string.substring of I to I plus 1 plus reverse, or instead putting the reverse here in the front plus substring of str. This would not work. This would just add the substring at the end of the string. It would add the J, and then it would add the O at the end, and then the E at the end, and the M at the end. We don't want to do that, which, by the way, the short way of writing this, remember, is that plus equals. And so we don't want to do that. Instead, we want to say, let's add the next letter that comes up at the front. And so I put here, because remember, in this variable, I'm storing the letters. And so the next letter that comes up, in Joe Mama, for example, let's say that the M is next. I want to store the M at the front. Think of it as at the front, quite literally at the front of my word, where reverse already has the previous words. Let's test it here really quick. Again, it returns a string, so I want to print. So I'm going to copy this. I want to paste, and I'm going to put here reverse string. I'm going to compile and run. And it did reverse the string, hello, how are you? That's right here. Check it out. It's backwards. So that's working good. Okay, let's go to the last one, because the last one is, well, I guess before I go to the last one, just the one last thing to note. I made a variable. I add to that variable the substring, but I added the substring at the very front, not at the back. And then I return reverse. Okay, finally, the palindrome. Okay, a precondition. There was a question about preconditions. Something to the extent of lowercase and uppercase letters. Like, what happens if I get an uppercase letter? Well, the precondition tells you that you don't have to worry about uppercase, that all the letters are going to be lowercase. And the reason why that is important is because in Java, Java is case sensitive. So Java cares about uppercase and lowercase letters. They're not the same. So for example, the uppercase M is not the same in Java as lowercase m. They're not. When you compare them, they wouldn't be the same. And so if you did like an if statement, if uppercase m equals lowercase m, it'd be false. And that is that can break your code basically. An uppercase letter can break your code. And so we don't have to worry about that. In my answer to the student's question, I mentioned that if somebody, for example, sent the string madame like that with an uppercase M, then how you code it here might say that madame is not a palindrome when it actually is, because if you write this backwards, it is madame as well, but with an uppercase letter, the uppercase M would be at the end here. And so Java doesn't see this as being the same as this. It does not. And so the precondition says all the letters are lowercase. You don't have to worry about uppercase letters. When you code this, don't worry about it. Okay. Let's do the following. I'm going to copy this again in the interest of saving some time. Notice how short the implementation is. It's a very quick implementation. And I do want... Actually, you know what? I'm going to code this one. It's there. You can pause it and take a look. But let's say that you have the string. Let's say that we have the string nurses run. That's the one that I looked up, right? Nurses run. Now, if I if I send this string to reverse string without getting rid of the white space, so if I send it this, and I guess maybe let's not do hypotheticals. Let's put it here. Nurses run with the space. And if I send it to reverse string, it returns this, nur, and then sys run. And this right here, if you were to compare the two, and again, let's not do hypotheticals. Let's actually test this. Let's print the following comparison. Let's print this comparison. Let's say, okay, let's compare what this returns. And it's down here. That's what it returns. Let's compare that, and we compare it using the dot equals to the string nurses run. And so what you have to understand here, all of this is gonna reverse the string, right? And I'm comparing that string to the string nurses run. And because of the space here, I hope that you can see that it's going to print false right there, because they're not the exact same. Java looks at the white space, and it's not the blank space right here is like 6 letters into the string, whereas the white space here, I'm looking at the same one, but the white space here is 3 letters into the string. The white space here is 6 letters into the string. And so now if I get rid of the space, then I'm expecting a true statement. And I'm going to run it. And notice how it says true now. So I'm printing this comparison. Are they equal? And the answer is yes, they're equal. If you reverse this, it's going to be the same as this. And right here, you don't have to, I'm printing this one, huh? Let me delete that so you can see it. And you see nurses run. That's what was returned here on line 6. On line 6, that print statement corresponds to this. And so I'm comparing what this returns to me to that string right here. And so that's why we first need to get rid of the space. And so suppose that the string is nurses run. Well, first I want to get rid of the space, and the best way to do that is to say, I'm going to make a new string called no spaces. That's what I'm just calling it, because it's going to have no spaces. And I want no spaces to equal what remove spaces returns. So I'm going to copy that. What it returns to me when I send it the string nurses run. Now here's the key here. I don't want to hard code this. Okay, I'm tying my hands. If I put nurses run, it's just gonna always send that string. Instead, I want to send it whatever is sent to this method. So I'm gonna put a string right here. Send that string. Send this string to remove spaces, and it's gonna get rid of the spaces. Good. Now I'm going to do what I did here. I'm actually going to copy this because it's very much what I'm going to end up doing here. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to say if, when I reverse the string no spaces, if when I reverse the string no spaces, if that equals no spaces, if those two are equal, then I want to print something, and the print has, I'm going to copy it straight from the problem statement here. I'm going to go to the problem statement, and here I'm going to write taco cat is a palindrome, so I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to put here. Now, taco cat is hard-coded. I don't want to hard-code this. Instead, I'm going to put here the string that is sent to this method, str, plus the string is a palindrome. So if this is true, when I reverse no spaces, if it equals no spaces, then it is a palindrome. Else, because if it's not a palindrome, if it isn't a palindrome, if it's a palindrome, good. If it's not, well, it's not, right? I'm gonna just copy this. I don't want to give myself too much work here, and then I'm gonna paste, and I'm gonna put it, string is not a palindrome. And notice here I'm implementing the remove spaces method correctly, even if I don't know how it does what it does. As long as I know what it's doing. Remove spaces returns me a string where I've removed any blank space. So I know what it does. I'm also implementing the reverse string that I coded in part A. And even if I didn't code the reverse string correctly, if I write it correctly in part B, I get full credit here in part B. Maybe not for part A, but I get full credit here. Also notice that this method palindrome checker does not return anything. It is void of a return, meaning there's no, void means empty, right? There's no return statement. So all it does is it prints. And you should see that also in the problem statement here, where it says your implementation must assume that, I'm looking for where it says print. I don't see it. Oh yeah, prints a message. So a palindrome checker prints a message indicating the result. And they're giving you 3 different scenarios. Now I did once again code this before, so I'll just copy these 3 test cases. I'm gonna copy those 3, and then I'm gonna put them in my main method so I can test this. Again, I don't have to put these within a print statement, because in the palindrome checker method there is a print statement. So, and it does, I don't return anything. So I'm gonna kind of compile, and then run. And it says ToggleCut is a palindrome, good. Laid on no dial is a palindrome, and then level up is not a palindrome. There was a student asked if we get our code to work for these 3 test cases, but not for all test cases, do we still get full credit? My answer would be that if you wrote it so that it works for any case, then even if you only test these 3, ToggleCut, laid on dial, and level up, even if you only test those 3, then it should work for any cases. And so I expect this to work for all. Okay, that does it for this video. We'll next tackle problem number 4. Make sure that you add your questions to the Google document in preparation for the next video.